Business can be a lonely game, but it doesn't have to be. Welcome to Boutique Chat, where we explore community over competition and how to scale your company with the balance and the happiness that we all seek. We'll hear from product-based businesses of all types, retailers, e-commerce, and wholesale brands, along with industry experts shaping the future of our industry. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast this week. I have been looking forward to this recording for so long. Macie, thanks so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. A true honor. I'm so excited to be here.
I was just laughing. I was telling you before we got started, I was going through my photos in my phone the other day, just like putting things in folders. And I ran across this photo of you and your mom at the Boutique Summit several years ago. So to get to see that then and to get to work with you the way that I do now, it's just so fun to watch your journey unfold.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of life has happened since that picture, but yeah, I'm happy to be here still.
That's so good. We're going to dig into the life. What's she mean by that? That was like a cryptic message, I feel like. We're going to dig into what that means. But before we do, talk to me about the Flossy Peach. Tell me about your business and how you got started.
Okay, yeah. So I started the Flossy Peach when I was a sophomore, junior in college. I was 20 years old.
Awesome.
And actually I've worked retail my whole life, sooner than I was actually legally supposed to be working. I was working in retail. And I really loved it. I loved the customers. I loved that, the brick and mortar for sure, in-person experience. And when I went to college, I knew I loved that, but I wasn't sure that I could turn that into, a financially successful career in that aspect. So I decided I was going to go to school and become a pharmacist. But what I was going to do is I was going to open a pharmacy and then have a gift shop in my pharmacy. So really, when you say it out loud, you're like, okay, girl, it's pretty clear, what your plans actually were. So, but anyway, so I went to school the first semester. I took my first chemistry test, made a 67, and I was like, no. I mean, I know I'm capable of doing this if I want to, but I do not want to do this. I want to work for myself. I want to be in retail. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm going to change my major. So I just marched right over to the business hall, changed my major that day, and went home that weekend and told my parents. And my dad was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I really didn't want to pay for pharmacy school anyway. So that sounds great. And so, fast forward a year and a half, probably. That's when I started Flossy Peach when I was in school at ABAC, which is a really small college, not far from where I'm from. And it was amazing because I had a lot of resources at my fingertips, and the school was small, so it was a very intimate experience there. And I mean, I sat in one of my professor's office, and she helped me apply for my sales tax ID. Wow. And they helped me write my business plan that I took to the bank to get my first line of credit and all that stuff to get started. So that was amazing. But so we started out online, oddly enough, and just because I wasn't home, a lot, but all the inventory was at my parents' house, and which was about 30 minutes from where I was. And I would drive home every weekend, steam, tag, do photo shoots, put stuff on the website, all of that, content, everything on the weekends. And then we would get orders during the week, and I would call my mom and be like, Mom, can you please ship this order for me, And so we did that, and we did trunk shows. Which were the really fun part for me because I love the in-person experience that. I love people. Yeah. And so we did that, and it was an amazing way to go ahead and establish a clientele and a customer base. We would pop up in a pool house and send out invitations and all that stuff. We would do it 4 times a year. And so then fast forward to when I graduated college, I waited about a year and then found this space that we first opened up in downtown Moultrie. And with that, we already had a customer base established. So when we opened our doors, we really already had a momentum built up and hit the ground running there. But with the brick and mortar, it far surpassed, I didn't really know what expectations to have, but it definitely surpassed that. And I knew, okay, we've got something here. So that was in 2017 when we opened up our brick and mortar. And then we were there for 5 years. And we outgrew that space very quickly. We actually closed the website when we opened the store because I wanted to make sure that I could really adequately serve the people that were right in front of me, and I didn't feel like I could do both at first. So at first we were just in store, and then we like we would do social selling, so people would message us on Instagram or whatever, and we would still ship a lot from the store. And so then we turned the website back on, like right around COVID, just really clearly. And so we kind of combined it once I figured out a good system for that. But so we ran that store for 5 years, and then we really needed a new space. We needed a bigger space. I needed an office. I would go and sit in my car to have like private conversations or business conversations or whatever, because it was just so small. And so I started looking for property, and I looked at a lot of different, options, and it just like for a couple of years probably just didn't find the right space. And then I went to the bank just to talk to my local banker and about a property that was available, but I felt like was priced higher than I needed to, go. And he was like, I think you just need to keep waiting for the right spot. And so I was like, all right, I trust you. Like, I'll do that. So then that same afternoon, he walked in my store and was like, hey, have you thought about this building? And I was like, I don't think so it was a 17,000 square foot building that's in literally the heart of our downtown, right on Main Street. And we were on Main Street too, just one block down in the old store. But it had been vacant for like 10 years. It used to be like a department store way, in the beginning. Yeah. And then like it was a City Trends. That was like the last, building that had occupied it, or business that had occupied it. But it had been vacant for 10 years. And so the building was huge and needed a lot of work. And I was like, no, I haven't considered that building. Like, that's huge. That's way too much. He was like, I think you should just go look at it. And so I went in and I just was like, oh, like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but I can see us here. It's on the corner. It's, it's a really good piece of real estate. So we ended up purchasing this giant building, and my sister had become a State Farm agent the year before. Our dad's a State Farm agent as well. So we have a serial entrepreneurial family. Yeah. And so she needed a nice office as well. So we actually ended up purchasing the building together. Oh, and wow. Then, so her State Farm agency occupies one bottom half, and then my store's on the other. And then we have an upstairs as well that we haven't renovated the upstairs, but we've renovated the outside and the bottom level and split it into two. So that was a big project, but we now have about 4,000 square feet. That's ours, and we've got some storage upstairs. But we love it. It's a dream space for sure. And this office is like a dream office. I mean, the luxury to have an office.
I mean, I'm loving your background, so I can only imagine. And I've seen photos of your store. I've heard from so many people how beautiful your store is. So I hope everyone has a chance to check you out on social media and see that.
Thank you.
It's a good lesson in really finding the right property for you. Is sometimes you need to look at what's, unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely. In life, in everything. But yeah, I mean, for sure. And I knew this building was available. I just was like, no, it's too big. Like, I just never considered it. And then sometimes it just takes the right people, like just putting a little, bug in your ear, like, hey, consider this, think about this. And you're like, oh, yeah. I didn't think about that, but that could work. So yeah. So we've been here now for about 1.5 years in this space, and we love it.
Incredible. So when you think about that journey along the way, I mean, you've had a lot of just growth and opportunity and change, and I'm sure highs and lows along the way as well. Talk to me about, what do you think, like pick out 2 or 3 things that you think have been maybe, some great decisions you made along the way, or pivotal points in your growth that really helped you continue to grow when your business maybe could have stalled out or went the other direction.
Yeah, I think investment in community has been the biggest thing for us. I think, like, I'm from Moultrie. I've lived here my whole life except for when I was in college, which is 30 minutes away, so I've been in South Georgia forever. And even during COVID, our community really stepped up and supported us. I mean, so when COVID happened, I moved all my inventory out of my store and moved it to my house. And I was like live selling and, going on Instagram and Facebook all day, showing stuff, and people were picking up on my front porch. I had friends Venmo me, or customers Venmo me $50. Hey, just surprise me. I don't know. I don't like whatever you think I would like. I trust you, and I just want to support you in this. And that time really, like that whole season really showed me like how how much our community supports us. And then it made me want to give back to our community so much more. So, and carrying into that, us making the decision to invest in this property. I mean, I think that that's been something that people have really appreciated because, I mean, you know, it was a big investment. I mean, and we're living, you know, we know in the long run, we're like, this was an incredible investment. We're so proud we did this. Like, this property that we own is amazing, but we're also like in the first few years where we're like, oh no, what do we do? You know, and we're just living that right now. And but I mean, the amount of people who just stop by because they just wanted to say, hey, you know, thank you for in like renovating this property. Thank you for making our, you know, downtown even more beautiful. And our whole thing as we were doing this project was, you know, whether they're our customer, whether they're our client or not, we want the people of this community and the surrounding communities to drive by our building and be proud of it. And so I think, you know, again, whether you're my customer or not, like, I want you to be proud that the Flossy Peach is in, you know, Moultrie, and that it's something that brings people here. And so really just investing in the community in that aspect, and then just like serving in the community. I'm on every single committee that makes up Downtown Moultrie. I'm the president of our Downtown Merchants Association. I'm on our Development Authority. There's a Downtown Moultrie tomorrow. I'm on Historic Preservation. And maybe I need to simplify that a little bit at this point, but, you know, just knowing that, really learning that what I do in the community, it doesn't just affect my business, but it affects everybody. And I love the Hub's community over competition mantra because I've tried to take that and bring that to downtown Moultrie. And I've heard, you know, there's other communities in like downtowns that have beautiful, beautiful cities, and, you know, they've got restaurants and shops, and it's a gorgeous place to be. But they've said, you know, we don't have that community among the merchants like you guys have, and we can see that, and we want to be a part of that. And so just trying to bring that, you can accomplish so much more when you do it together. And so just being able to kind of bring that to our downtown and our city as a whole, and, you know, plan events together, and, you know, just do it all together. It's really pretty neat what you can accomplish in that aspect.
It's so good. I love hearing you say that. It's funny because as you're talking about your hometown, I can feel my hometown. I was very fortunate to grow up in Bowman, North Dakota, and just have an incredibly strong, like, local chamber of commerce. And I worked in economic development. And, you know, just we were so active, and we were the envy of the entire western side of the state. No one had what we had. So for those who are listening and they're hearing that and they know that it's possible, can you give, like, what are a couple of events that you guys host, or what's your, like, you know, meeting cadence, or how else can someone listening facilitate that level of community wherever they live?
Yeah. So I think I'll have to toot the horn of our Main Street director, because she's incredible, and she loves and is so passionate about our downtown, and she does all the statewide things that, you know, helps us be on people's radar too. So I think just if you're on a Main Street, try to get involved in a Main Street program too. And it does help when you are in like a centrally located place, like a downtown. Like, we're literally on a square. Our courthouse is right in the middle. But even so, even if you don't have like a Main Street program or whatever, just being able to team up and, you know, just, again, not feel like, we're in competition, I guess. But even there's like, I don't know how many boutiques are in downtown Moultrie, but they're all different. They all have a niche. They all have a customer that they're serving. Is there overlap? Absolutely. But that's the beauty of it. Like, when you want to come, you want to come downtown Moultrie and shop in multiple places. You don't want to go just for one. And we want to be a destination place as the Flossy Peach, but we also want you to be able to, you know, pick up a wedding gift while you're here, and then grab a good cup of coffee and have lunch at a nice spot and all of that. So, but as far as events go, one that has been incredibly successful for us is Second Saturday. So every second Saturday of the month, we have food trucks that come downtown. We do all like sidewalk sales and things like that. When we first started, we literally rolled out Second Saturday in like March of 2020. So we rolled it out, and then we were like, came to a screeching halt, right? But when we first did it, it was going to be like a concert, and it was going to be, more adult geared, where you could, have a cocktail, whatever, walk around outside. And so we were blessed that COVID did kind of shut us down and make us come to a screeching halt, because when we started it back up, we were like, okay, we think we need to make this more family oriented. Yeah. And that has really taken off. So every time we have like bouncy houses, we'll do different like kids activities. If it's like, I think for October, we did like princesses and pirates theme. So we had like a princess bounce house, and one of the hair salons was doing like hair tinsel and just like all these things. But people love, to be able to come somewhere where like their whole family can come, and you don't have to get a babysitter or whatever. So that's been really huge for us. And then another event that we do that we're known for is Thanksgiving night. Every year, all the stores open up. We have these beautiful Christmas lights that are like a canopy from the courthouse over downtown. It looks like a Hallmark movie, literally. Yeah. And people come from all over. That's when we have like the most people downtown. And our stores are packed. I mean, you cannot move, but it's like a family reunion almost. And everybody just like, oh, hey, because it's people that are maybe from Moultrie, but they live out of town, and then they come back for the holiday. So that's really neat too. It's like a big deal. And we opened up when we opened up our new store, we opened up on Thanksgiving night. So that was really neat to do that. So yeah. And there's more events too, but those are the two big ones, I think.
It does feel like a Hallmark movie, the more that you describe it. And you know what else is unique is there is something really special about like small towns in Georgia. Your guys' downtowns are so beautiful. And I know there's other states that probably have something similar, but there's definitely states that don't. Yeah. So it's very unique and special what you guys have. And the more I hear you talk about just like investing in your community and how you give back, it's really the lesson of servant leadership. Like you lead by serving others, and what a life lesson that is for all of us. And I see that in your business and in the opportunity for retailers, but I also see that in the hub. And I see that in the way that you're involved in the hub with others, right? Of servant leadership. So you've been a part of our mastermind now, and getting to watch the servant leadership in that group of people. Describe to me what that experience is like, masterminding with other business owners.
Yeah. I mean, I'm smiling because, I got there and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, they have the wrong girl. I'm not sure if they know. I'm not going to tell them. But I, can't believe I got invited to be here. So just being a part of Mastermind was incredible. And walking in and knowing, trying to figure out how to word this where it's appropriate, but just knowing, what everybody was bringing to the table, it was incredible. And I just wanted to be a sponge and soak it all up. But I didn't expect to walk away from Mastermind having been poured into so much. And, it was the classes. It was also the Uber rides. It was, the bathroom line, the lunch line, the hotel bar afterwards, everything, just every single conversation. I felt like even those big dogs that were there, they were interested in what I had to say. They were listening to me, and they were taking notes. Even if my business is totally different than theirs, I felt like they could still learn something from me. And when you feel that way, it changes your perspective, and it gives you more confidence, and you feel people pouring into you. And so since Mastermind, we've got group text going, and people are just constantly building each other up, and it is amazing. I mean, it has literally changed my life, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but that's accurate. It has, because it can be, retail or just business ownership in general can be very lonely. Yeah. Even if you have a whole team, it's different when you're in charge and, you've got all the things weighing on you or whatever. And I really struggled last year. 2023 was, probably the most difficult year for me in retail, just because I allowed myself to feel alone in some of it. And, difference in economy, whatever you want to chalk it up to. I think I kind of listened in on some of the sky is falling, mindset a little bit. And and not even consciously, more so subconsciously, just allowed it in. And then, so, to be honest, I underbought because I was a little scared. And then, we didn't have the inventory. So, of course, we're not going to have the sales that we normally do. And then I'm looking at the sales like, oh, no, what have I done? Like, why am I not performing, and just kind of let myself get in that place. And it was hard. I mean, there were times where I was, like, am I still supposed to do this? Like, am I still good at this? Like, do I still know what I'm doing? Somehow I snapped out of it. I don't know how, but I think just determination. I was like, no, I do love this. I am going to figure this out and keep going. And then again, just other people pouring into me and having those conversations with other people in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But then especially with Mastermind, like I feel like, my mindset has shifted so much. And, I walked into that room saying like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how I got here, but I promise the next Mastermind, you will not hear me say that. Like even if I'm not on the level that other people there are, like, I know after other people having servant's heart and pouring into me, like I do deserve to be here. I did deserve this seat at this table, and I've got to walk around knowing that, not in like a cocky, conceited way, but in a like humble confidence.
Have you ever wondered if someone else in business is going through the exact same thing you are right now? Whether it's an obstacle to overcome or a new opportunity you aren't sure if you should pursue or not, or maybe just some of those same questions about, man, am I really getting the most out of my inventory or my Facebook ads or my team? How can I do business just a little bit better and enjoy life just a little bit more? Well, those are a lot of the questions that we answer on a day-to-day basis inside of our community at the Boutique Hub. If you're listening and you aren't yet a member of our community, I want to invite you to join us. We have 14 different niche Facebook groups to connect you with store owners at the same level and just like you, no matter what you sell. Home and gift, apparel, children's specialty, we've got groups for all of that. Plus, we want to get you up to date with the latest training, the latest information and strategy on what's working right now in our industry with our weekly education plus our maxed out training library. We also have hundreds and hundreds of vetted, amazing wholesale brands who have been proven to do business in boutiques. We don't like trademark infringement. We don't like brands with poor customer service. We handpick the best of the best. And the best of the best love working with Boutique Hub members as well. So they offer numerous discounts and free shipping, whether it's at market, inside of our groups, or on our own wholesale platform, hubventory.com, with thousands of dollars in savings just for Boutique Hub members. So if you aren't yet a member, we'd love to invite you to join us at theboutiquehub.com/join to be a part of our community on a daily basis. I can't wait to see you inside, and I can't wait to see you connect with amazing business owners who are serious about their business, just like you.
Yeah, humble confidence and what you'll attract to yourself.
Yeah.
When you live and act in that on a daily basis. The funny thing is when I think about, like you said, in 2023, you shrunk. And it was a mindset that led you to shrink, right?
Yep.
And I think that's really common in business when we're fearful of something. It's easy to go, oh, I'm just going to like bear down and get small and like play it safe. And that's what society tells us to do, like be safe, don't take a risk. But in reality, when you hear stories like yours and you say, well, what led you out of that? It was like, well, I had to invest in myself.
Yeah.
Or I had to do something that was a big, scary step that led me to expand. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just like, please listen to this. Like when everyone's telling you to play it safe and be small, that's when you expand and you go big and you invest in something that's going to challenge you to get better. So let's talk about Mastermind for one more second. Something really unique that happened there was you came in and people were pouring into you, but you had this really crazy experience where you kind of accidentally poured into somebody else.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I knew you were going to bring this up, which is fine. It's so, I mean, I'm so happy that it happened, honestly. Okay, so we're in this Uber ride, and it just happens to be the only Uber ride that we're in that's in like an hour long ride from, our destination to the other, Atlanta traffic. And so we're in the car with Gretchen is in the car with me, Jordan and Randy, and then poor Jeff Finn is in the front seat too, in the passenger seat. And so Gretchen was like, I want to hear your story. And so I shared with her, because I'm an open book. I mean, there's not enough time for this podcast for me to share everything that I would be willing to share. But I am I'm just happy to share, my story. And so I shared with her about my divorce and like becoming a single mom while running, the business, and then, then finding love again and getting remarried and all of that. And so just telling her my story. And I know that the girls in the car were listening. I felt bad for Jeff because I know he was up there. I was like, he probably doesn't want to hear this. But I did not think that the Uber driver, was listening. So we get to where we're going, and I'm the last one to climb out of the car. And so I'm about to get out, and the Uber driver turns around, and she's got tears in her eyes. And I'm like, oh gosh, like what are you okay? And she said, you just gave me the confidence to sign my papers, like her divorce papers. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, you got this. And I know this is hard, but one day down the road, however long it takes, there is a man waiting for you who is going to put you on a pedestal and treat you like the queen that you are, and wait for him and show up for yourself. And she was like, again, like boo-hooing. And I'm like, can I hug you? And she's like, yeah. And so I give her a hug, and then I get out of the car, and they're all sitting on the sidewalk, like, Macie, why are you looking at the Uber driver? Like, what just happened, And I'm like, sorry, guys. I mean, I don't know how this happens, but I just had a little moment with the Uber driver.
Oh my gosh, well, it was memorable for sure. And I laughed because Jeff was telling us the story, and he was like, I look over and the Uber driver's crying, and he doesn't do well around women that are crying. He kind of like has a little panic attack. So he was like, I had to look out the window and couldn't pay
poor
attention.
guy.
Right. But what an awesome opportunity for you to lift somebody else up. And I think we all have that opportunity on a daily basis. The more vulnerable we can be to share, you never know how it's going to impact someone. Just as a highlight, I don't know that everybody knows this, but you had an amazing wedding recently. Can you just briefly tell me about that?
Yes. So I'm like, how deep into the story do I want to go? I mean, however deep we want to go, but just to give you a little backstory. So I got divorced in 2022, had a 9-month-old at the time. And so entered also, running the business too, learning, still in my first year of being a mom, motherhood, and figuring that out. And so, had a season where I really then had to kind of shift my mindset and start showing up for myself, like in my personal life in that aspect. And so, fast forward through that little bit of a season, I started getting ready to date, and got on Bumble, which I swore on my life before that I would never do. But I am from a small town, and I knew I didn't want to date anyone from Moultrie. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get back out there. Like, this is the way. And so Adam and I matched and went on a date and never spent a weekend apart after that. And he's like the most incredible man. It was definitely like different from my family because I am from a small town, originally like, was married to the guy that I'd been with since I was in middle school and all that. And so, bringing Adam home, like, they're like, okay, who is this 6'3" Korean man with tattoos everywhere, like former Air Force, like, who, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, are you going through a stage, or like, what is this, But he, like, he really is the most amazing man and the best, stepdad to my little girl, Mary Coleman. She calls him AA. That's how she said Adam when it, first came out, and it just stuck, and he's the best AA. So it was kind of like a whirlwind romance, honestly, but when you know. And so we got engaged in December, and then, I had been married before, so I didn't really want to do the big giant wedding, and we knew we were just ready to be married. And I was trying to plan a wedding and spent like a week doing it, and I was like, I'm over this. Like, my mom did it the first time. Like, I'm just, I don't want to do it now. So I had already planned on going to Magic in Vegas, and I was like, we're be in Vegas in a couple weeks. Like, would you like to just go with me and let's just get married there? And he was like, okay, Macie, like, good one, And I'm like, no, like, I'm really serious. And so he agreed, and we did it. We went to Magic every single day that it was open. I was at the show that morning, got married that night. Ran into you and Sarah, and y'all were like, leave, get out of here. Like, go enjoy your wedding day. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is a business and personal trip. But yeah, so we got married in a chapel in Vegas on Valentine's Day. It was just the two of us. And it was the best. I mean, my mom, when I told her I was doing that, she was like, oh my God, like, is Elvis going to marry you? And I'm like, no, Mom, I promise. Like, it's still going to be like sweet and meaningful. And my dad just wanted me to make sure I got a Baptist preacher to marry me. So I'm like, I'll try, Dad, we'll see. But anyways, yeah, it was amazing. It was perfect for us. It was so much fun. Yeah. And a hub member ended up taking our pictures there too. So it all just like fell into place, and it was just perfect for us, and we were able to start our lives officially together as a family. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, I hope everybody stalks your social media after this, and hopefully they get to see some wedding photos, because they are some of the most beautiful photos. Like,
they were amazing. Mary Clark from Shoreline Sugars took those, and incredible, honestly. Like, my whole Pinterest board, like, that's what they look like, and I love it so much.
That's community on a whole new level right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So something I've heard you say in that journey of, finding love the second time, and also, like, not only the stage you went through in your personal life, but the stage that you now are going through in your business life. I've heard you make a statement about what you choose to accept.
Yeah.
Tell me about that mindset.
Yeah. So for me, after going through, my divorce, or really before my divorce was final, and getting to the place where I made the decision to file for divorce, it was just a switch that I flipped with me, that I, decided I was going to start showing up for myself first and foremost, and taking care of myself. And, when I was married, it wasn't like a conscious thing where I was aware that I wasn't putting myself first and, choosing myself in that aspect. But when I look back at like pictures of me, then I'm like, wow, like, I can just clearly see, where I was in that aspect, and then where I am now. And I mean, I had people were just coming up to me after, like, after I got divorced, and then especially after I started dating Adam, but really before too. And they're like, you're just glowing. Like, you look so happy. And I'm like, I am. Like, I am. Like, I'm choosing myself. I'm showing up for myself in, my personal life this way. And so then when it came to dating, I had very clear, standards and expectations for, who I was going to allow into my life. And, I wanted a partner. I didn't want, to be responsible for somebody else. I wanted someone that was worthy of me. And I don't mean that, again, in like a conceited way. I mean, it's even hard for me to say that out loud still, but just knowing, like, I'm not going to accept anything less. Like, I have a child now, and so I have to make sure that whoever I allow in her life is worthy of her too. And I mean, he, far surpassed expectations, but, yeah, so I was listening to a podcast after Mastermind on the way home that one of the girls sent, and, they were talking about, you attracting what you put out and what your expectations are, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I did that with my marriage now. Like, I did that with my personal life, and I set what my standards were, and I was not going to accept anything less. And so now I've got to do that for my business. Because I think in the last year I've really gotten in my own way a lot, and I've doubted, like, am I good at this? Like, am I capable? Am I, smart enough? Am I driven enough? Will I work hard enough, to set new goals and meet them? But I'm like, oh my God, I've done it before. And now I'm going to do it here. I'm going to do it in this aspect of my life, and start showing up as that girl in this area every day, and not taking, less, and really from myself too.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me, Sarah Burks, and I've talked about this quote before, but you get what you tolerate.
Yeah.
And I think everything that you just said is really the positive aspect of that, right? Like, this is what I stand for, and this is what I won't tolerate. So congrats to you. That's incredible. I think that's a lesson for everybody who's listening, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, a couple more questions. Let's do a lightning round. Sound good?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, first question. You get 2 hours back in your day and you get to use it for income generating activity and something that's going to really grow your business. What do you spend those 2 hours doing?
Try-ons, content, me talking video about, styling, about where I'm wearing this, who's wearing it, where we're going. Absolutely. If I could spend every single day in front of that mirror doing try-ons, I would. It's work. I hate changing clothes all day long, but besides that, like, it's fun and I love it, and it's exciting for me, and the people like it too.
Yeah, so good. You're not pouring concrete.
No.
Changing clothes. What an opportunity. I love it. All right. Best business advice that always sticks with you.
Don't let yourself get lonely. Don't, and this is new. Like I told you earlier, I'm like on day 4 of this new mindset for me coming out of my mastermind. But it's so clear for me right now. Don't let yourself get lonely. Invest back in your community in whatever aspect that looks like. Invest in yourself, and show up, and get active in the Facebook groups. Go to Summit. Go to market. Meet your vendors. Network. Have a group text. Have a check-in. Hold yourself. Have a friend that's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And it really lights your fire back up sometimes when especially when we get out, I get in this office, like we get in our own little spaces or in our house or in our store, in our warehouse or whatever. And we can put blinders on sometimes and we forget to like step, out. And I had a counselor / therapist tell me post-divorce, it's clear that you're now looking at this from the press box instead of playing the game. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's so good. It's the bird's eye view now. And so sometimes you have to step out of your daily grind and check in with other people and get inspired. And that's why I love Summit. That's why I love Mastermind. That's why I love all the things. But that's my advice.
That's so good. That's incredibly helpful for all levels of business, especially. All right. Hardest business lesson you had to learn?
I'm still learning it. Know your numbers. Know your numbers from, the very beginning. Don't wait until you're almost 10 years in and then start, looking at it. And I think a lot of people, I'm learning this just from hearing other people talk, like a lot of people in this business, we all know, like we're creative, that most of us have that side of the brain. And we're like, speaking for myself, I'm like, I don't really know the numbers. And I also don't really want to know, I'm kind of scared of what those are going to tell me. Yeah. So I think I'll just put that, on the back of my desk and just like not look at it. And it can really get you in a pickle. So knowing your numbers, but from the very beginning too, even if you're not, even if you're just starting, like if you have that foundation set, you're going to go so much further and faster and have all those tools that you already need when you do, grow and get to the next level. So investing in, if you're not good at that, investing in the people who are, and regularly meeting with those people so they can show you and teach you. And so, I'm talking to myself here. We're working on it, but definitely knowing your numbers, and especially too, like when you're running a business, like, yes, we're selling clothes. Yes, it's fun. We're content creating. We're styling. We're buying all that stuff. But like we are in charge. Like we're the CEO. We're in charge. We've got to, know what's going on in every aspect. And so, that's the one.
Huge. That's huge. And that leads me to my next quick question. Now that you are digging into that, what's one metric that you live by?
I'm really early in digging into it, actually. But I love having an open to buy plan for sure. I'm working with Mary Lane Group, Well Retail Management One. That helps a lot because as you grow, I used to have all of it in my head, and it was there. Like I could tell you exactly what was coming in, exactly what color, exactly what ship date, what vendor, all that stuff. Then I became a mom, and half my brain went away, and so it's not all up there anymore. And so having that and being able to look at that, and then again, just having someone else have eyes on what you're doing, and comparing that. So I would say the open to buy plan for sure helps a lot with the inventory side of it.
Yeah. Mother Mary, she's got you covered.
Mama Mary, always.
So good. Well, Macie, this has been incredible. I'm so glad that you spent the time with me today. And I just have one last question. And I know you're probably familiar with this question, but at the end of the day, it's not about selling clothes. It's not about selling any of the things that are in your store. It's much bigger than that. So as a mom and 30 years down the road, as a grandma and with your sweet family, you're sitting on the front porch, you're probably drinking sweet tea. I mean, since you're in Georgia,
you would think, right? I mean, there's definitely some in my mom's fridge as we speak.
Yeah, definitely. So you're sitting there and you're talking about this life that you lived and the building that you renovated and the businesses that you've had and the lives that you've touched. What's the thing that you want people to remember about you the most?
I want people, if they came in contact with me in any way, shape, or form, in person, in my store, at Summit, on Instagram, wherever, I want them to feel Christ's love from me. Like, I want them to know Jesus. I want them to walk away from me going, like, that girl loves the Lord, and her joy comes from Him. And no matter what has happen in life, whatever I've been through, not allowing it to steal my joy. That's what I want them to know. But I mean that, and then just that anybody can design a life that they want for themselves, and it's up to them to make that happen. But if you want something, do it. Go for it. And I mean, again, I'm talking to myself too. When I was 20 and started the Flossy Peach, like, I was not scared. I had this, just this fire in me, and I'm working on getting that back now, and that mindset. But just knowing that you can do whatever you want to do, be whoever you want to be. It's up to you to make it happen, and up to you to have that mindset, knowing that you are capable of doing it. Hand in hand with the Lord.
I love it. Macie, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for being a part of our community and the way that, you just are investing in others right now by sharing all of your wisdom and all of your lessons. But again, many thanks to you. This has been really awesome today.
Thank you, Ashley. I've enjoyed it so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you took away all kinds of nuggets and new ideas from this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. We love to hear your feedback and give you a chance to be featured on the show each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition, and to access guest downloads and bonuses and all the resources we talked about on the show, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.